All right, welcome to another Live in Freestyle. We're continuing on a little bit of the bio series, and with that, let's talk about how we kind of failed our way into private school. You'll see that as a common theme in movies. The kids, for some whatever reason, they end up getting thrown in private school at some point. Our version of this was a little bit different. We had just finished our first tour overseas. If you'd watched the previous video and all the moves and everything, we'd just bounced from Spain to Germany to Egypt, and we'd come back to Connecticut. So we were getting settled in Connecticut, things were moving along, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Uncle Spud starts failing out of school. This is not normal, all right? Uncle Spud is insanely smart, probably too smart, but there's no way he should have been failing out of public school. And so what happened was, I remember we went in because Dad wasn't around, so Grams, myself, Uncle Spud, we all went in to talk to his teacher to figure out what was going on. And I just remember we were just sitting in the back, and I was listening to the conversation, and Grams is like, "What's going on? Why is he all of a sudden failing? I mean, he was a A student, and now all of a sudden he's failing." And the teacher looked at her and said, "Your son is a pathological liar." Grams is like, "Wait, what?" and well, what do you mean? What is it that makes you think this? And she said, "He lies on all of his assignments." Oh, okay. Well, I mean, can you explain a little bit more about what makes you think this? So she pulls out their last assignment, and she said, "This last assignment was to write a true story about a place that you had been, and some of the things that you'd learned from it, and so on. And your son made up all of these stories about how he was in the pyramids, and then thieves' entrances, and all of these things. And it was supposed to be a true story about a place that they had been." Grams was like mind blown. She just looked at her and she's like, "Yeah, we lived in Egypt. Like, he has been to those places, and he wasn't lying." and I remember we got up, we left, and I'm pretty sure we were in private school the next day, like overnight. Like, there was just no way. But this teacher could not fathom that this little fourth grader had done and been and experienced all of these things, to the point where her instant assumption was Uncle Spud was a pathological liar. It was awesome. So we're gonna daisy chain this into another embarrassing moment story as well. So what happened was, instantly overnight, we're enrolled in private school. So I spent the next year and a half or so in private school, and as always in private school, or not always, but in common cases, you had a uniform, khaki pants, vest, sweater, a tie, the whole bit. So fast forward a year and a half, we get back to Virginia after our next move, back in public school, still learning my own identity, etc. Grams is like, "Oh, you're gonna look dapper." This is when I knew I should have, this was not gonna be good, because we went clothes shopping before school. And you're gonna look dapper, it's gonna be amazing, etc. So I have my khaki pants, I have my vest sweaters. I'm going to public school, people. This is gonna be a surreal nightmare, okay? But I didn't know yet, because I just spent the last year and a half in private school, and before that we were on a military base, so whatever. Get to school, and it was pretty clear I was the odd kid out, right? I mean, I there's preppy, and then there's your mom dressed you like a dweeb, okay? I pretty much had that nailed down. So I remember after about, and this is where we kind of get to the fun, I remember after about 6 months of enduring this fun, I finally turned to Grams, and I said, I can't do this anymore. Grams, I need a pair of jeans. We gotta buy me a pair of jeans. And so we did. We went out and bought a pair of jeans. And this was so impactful that the next day on the bus, I remember we're sitting on the bus, and Julie Foster saw me in jeans, and she was in my class, and ran ahead to the class. And so as I walk into the class that day, the entire class was clapping. And when I say the entire class, I also mean Mrs. Kronz, the most strict teacher in all of 6th grade in that school, was also clapping with all of the kids. I wanted to be so invisible that day. But that is a kind of a failing into private school, into uniforms, into, finally into jeans, and a pretty fun, embarrassing moment as a result of that chain of events. So we'll pick up some more stories that happened as a result of the whole private public school transition, but that is how Uncle Spud and I failed our way into private school. Sweet. Catch you on the next one.